really have the powers to suspend an elected senator from doing his or her work.
Your chair very close and listening as political analysts discuss about the suspension of Senator Natasha, whether what they did was a sham justice or not. I want you to listen very attentively and tell me what you think about this thing.
Suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan after she had made an allegation of sexual harassment. How will you describe what is going on and what do you think? What's your take, Prof?
Well, I think it's patriarchy on steroids because, you know, the allegation of sexual harassment is a very serious one, and it should have been properly investigated by the Senate. Why is it patriarchy on steroids? The Senate has only, I think, 4 women out of hundreds, 160 or so, of Nigerians representing us. And the allegation, you know, when I say it's patriarchy is a system where there's male dominance validated as the normative frame from which society operates. So women are supposed to be silent. Women are supposed to accommodate and be, accepting of overtures from men, even when those overtures are inappropriate. A woman who speaks up is then chastised, infantilized, and unsupported, even by fellow women. So this is showing that as Nigeria, we are not progressive, that we are not in sync with the times, that, you know, Rwanda, that small country, has 60-something% women in its national legislature. What is wrong with us? So we are carrying last. We're proud of carrying last. We're a giant that has no feet, and we are not embarrassed. This is what is going on, so that I don't take up too much time.
In a way that people will feel that there is a sense of fairness and justice, because in my view, we haven't seen that. Prof?
Yeah, so the sitting issue is a very serious one too, because it is important that in a free and fair democracy, people should be allowed to object to situations that don't favor them. And Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, she stated her concerns, and that should have been taken seriously. Instead, in the classical way that Nigerian men tend to respond, and I'm saying Nigerian men because I'm kind of generalizing. I know they are good and feminist men and men who support women. But in the main, Nigerian men tend to see women as less than men, as not as capable as men, as people who should be silent, and as people who should take any kind of abuse, discrimination, put downs without responding. Some women also believe that this is how to go, because we are all in a patriarchal system. And this patriarchy influences people to behave in the way they do. It gives incentives to women who support the patriarchy so that they are the ones who advance faster in that system. And that's why many of the women who support this kind of bad behavior do so. It gives kudos to men when they behave badly. If a woman behaves that way, she will be chastised. She will be, even sometimes ostracized and cast out of a position that legitimately belongs to her. So that was terrible. And it is also more terrible that there are there are allegations of sexual harassment, and the Senate president should have recused himself. He did not. Proper investigation should have been carried out. What they did in the Senate was a sham investigation. And as I said, Nigeria should be embarrassed. And I think the Senate as an institution needs to rescue itself and show that it understands what democracy is about.
Really have the powers to suspend an elected senator from doing his or her work.
Thank you for this question. I see that you try to limit it to the 1999 Constitution, which is fine. But I have to say at the onset that by the totality of our laws, and not just the Constitution, including judicial pronouncements, and obviously specifically the Constitution, the Senate or the House of Representatives or the respective houses in the states do not have the power whatsoever to suspend an elected senator or an elected member generally. They don't have the power whatsoever. So let me begin by quoting section 4 subsection 8 because it forms the foundation upon which every other argument is going to be built. Section 4 subsection 8, section 4 generally provides for the legislative powers and, saying that legislators have the powers to make law and then, to oversee the other parts of government as well, yes. But subsection 8 says that in the exercise of that power, they are subject to the court. That is, they are subject to the court's supervision as well.
Right.
And they cannot make any law that ousts or seeks to oust the jurisdiction of the court. That is very, very important, right? Now let's go to section 60, which provides for these Senate standing orders. The Senate standing orders is constitutionally rooted. But it begins by saying that subject to the Constitution, or rather subject to the provisions of the Constitution, you may make standing orders for your internal affairs. Right? So these two provisions are very important as anchors to what comes next. Now, if we go to section 67, it provides for how a senator can vacate his seat legally, or how a House of Representatives can vacate his seat legally. Absence for more than 1/3 of the entire tenure. Maybe if you switch political parties, if you are no more a Nigerian, if you're part of a group that is not recognized by law, right? So all of these things are provided in the Constitution that you would need to vacate the seat. Section 69 now goes on to provide recall proceedings that people who actually elected you have the possibility, have the power rather to recall you back. Now in legal parlance generally, right, where a law provides for a group of things in a particular class or in a particular genus, and it provides for them specifically, then every other thing that is excluded is deemed absolutely excluded. So if it provides for vacancy, cessation of tenure in the office, it provides for recall, and it is silent on suspension, it means that there is no suspension. And the House cannot suspend you, without a doubt. But let me take you to